Hail to the legal warriors. I'm an attorney, not a cat. And if you know what that means, you know there are a lot of big mistakes we can make in a Zoom court hearing, and they will actually make a difference in the outcome of your case. So this video, I'm going to cover the 5 top mistakes to avoid if you're doing a Zoom court hearing. If you're interested in this area of the law, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 20 years, and I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it, more people get the help they need. And I'm just going to jump right into it. So many court dates are by Zoom right now, and we all remember, at least some of us do, if not, look it up, it'll be easy to find, time where this attorney turned on a filter in some type of Zoom application or something like that, and all of a sudden he appeared as a cat, right? He couldn't get it turned off, so he finally told the court, I'm an attorney, not a cat. And of course, that was quite the meme for a while, and I've never seen anything like that happen since. I've not seen any filter problems in my years of doing Zoom hearings, but I do see lots of mistakes being made that can really piss off the court or can even expose you to criminal liability. Right? Perhaps you've seen a YouTube video out there, which I have recently, where a guy was driving and zoomed in for his court hearing, and he's driving, and the court looks, and he's charged with driving on a suspended license, and he's driving on the Zoom hearing. So, of course, that's not going to be one of my 5, but a lot of bad things can happen. So I think the biggest mistake I've seen that can hurt a case in a Zoom hearing is having your camera and your sound on at a time when you shouldn't have your camera and sound on, and particularly the sound. I will say about every month, I will catch conversations of somebody who doesn't have themselves muted. They might have the camera off, but they're not muted, and now they're saying some terrible things. They might be saying terrible things about the other party, and often they're saying terrible things about the judge. That fat beep, beep, right? And the court can hear this. I mean, that's happened in a case I was involved in where I had to jump in and say, you're not muted, right? And I can't say anything more than that. It wasn't a client of mine. It was someone else as part of the case. But you have to make sure that you are muted when it's not your case, because unlike whispering in the courtroom when no one can hear, everyone can hear it. Not only everyone can hear it, almost always these proceedings are being recorded also, and that is really going to hurt your case. So the first mistake is failing to pay attention to whether or not you're muted or your camera is off. I think the second mistake relates to the camera and how we're dressed. How we're dressed matters for court. The court has a lot of cases. The court, well, when I say the court, I mean the judge, right, has a lot of cases. They have a lot of pressure. They have a lot of stress. And they look at Zoom as our courtroom. If you show up with a hat in the courtroom, you're going to get chewed out. Do not have a hat on a Zoom hearing. If you're in a courtroom, you cannot be eating a sandwich. You cannot be slugging a Coca-Cola, right? Do not be eating or drinking on a Zoom hearing. And this goes for attorneys too out there. You attorneys I've seen do this, don't do this, okay? So you want to have a full shirt on, right? Don't show up topless, man, right? Don't be sitting on your porch without your shirt on, because that's just like you're not having a shirt in court. So make sure that you are dressed appropriately for a Zoom hearing, and you're not doing stuff you cannot otherwise do in court. If you're not sure what you can't do in court, call your attorney and ask, okay, about how you should do this. The third big mistake I see is the setting not being right. The setting being where you're doing the filming, right? So many times we'll be doing a filming, we'll be moving around and walking around, and the court is getting seasick watching you. If your camera is not turned off, the court typically sees everybody, right? They see everybody, and one person's moving around. It really makes them mad, and they're going to look and they're going to see your name on there, and they're going to remember that. Mr. Smith, will you please get in one place and please turn off your camera until we call your case? Well, if you got a tough case, you don't want this judge, some part of the judge's brain, I don't like Mr. Smith, right? When you come up, and you created that air yourself. So you want to be in a quiet location and in a stable location without people, interrupting. You don't want a ceiling fan going above you. I'm so tired of seeing ceiling fans, and so is the court, right? Because it's distracting. You want to be as respectful to show that you are in court. The fourth biggest mistake I see for Zoom hearings is being in the wrong Zoom hearing. You need to show up in the right place, and you need to actually pretend in your brain when you're trying to figure out if you're in the right place. If this were a real courtroom, does this seem fishy? What's going on or not? Let's say you get your Zoom link and you log in and you get the waiting for host to start meeting, right? We know what that means. That means, we have the Zoom link, but the host hasn't started the meeting. Let's say court's at 9 a.m. Let's say it's 9:30 a.m. and now the host still hasn't started the meeting. Should you just keep waiting and hope they're going to start the meeting? Or should you maybe suspect that you're in the wrong place? Just do a mind experiment. You're actually at the courthouse. You're there at the courthouse for 9 o'clock court. They tell you to go to courtroom 2. You go to courtroom 2, you pull the door, it's locked. You look in, it's dark. You've been there half an hour and there's not a sign of a human anywhere. Would you keep waiting and just hope someone shows up? Or would you start to figure out if you're in the wrong place so you don't get a warrant? So that big mistake is being in the wrong place and then not trying to remedy it in using common sense to realize that, hey, if the court hasn't started, maybe something's going wrong. How do we remedy it? Well, we can call the court. That's the first thing you should probably do. If you can't get through to the court, look in the court website. The court sometimes updates where certain cases are. Each court is different. Sometimes there's nothing on a court website about where cases are. Sometimes everything is on the court website where things are. So that's a big one, because if we miss a criminal hearing, we're going to get a warrant for arrest. And if we miss a civil hearing, we might get a default judgment against us. And both of those are hard to recover from. And the fifth mistake that I typically see on Zoom hearings is not showing attention to what's going on while you're on the hearing. Sometimes you might be talking to the court for a while. There might be a 10-minute or 15-minute session of testimony, right? The lawyer might argue things, stuff like that. And if you're just like looking away, you're looking out your window, and this happened to a case of mine in the past. This has happened in my life. Where it's a long hearing, and I think it's fair to think that you don't have to stare at the camera the whole time. But if the court is talking to you as the subject, don't be looking away from the camera, because if you're doing that in court, that would be pretty disrespectful to the court, and that pisses them off. And the person making a decision against you, making a decision about you, hopefully not against you, but person making a decision about you, you don't want them mad at you for being disrespectful in their mind to the court. So especially when the court's talking to you, look at your camera, right? Look at your camera and show them that you are paying attention to their authority, because if we don't pay attention to authority, they'll make you pay attention in ways you don't want to by flexing and doing bad things to us. So I can think of a lot of other examples to avoid. Those are my top 5, and just sharing a personal nightmare I've seen before on Zoom. Someone logs in on their camera, they've got the camera and is leaning up against something, and the person is accused of having a problem with alcohol or drugs, and the next thing you know, they fall asleep, and the camera moves, and it's rotating, and no one can wake you up. Mr. Smith, wake up, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith is out. So pay attention. Don't be Mr. Smith. If you found this useful, please like, please subscribe. More people get to see it. More people get the help they need. And more importantly, if you have a legal problem in Washington State, be it a criminal matter or a restraining order, feel free to give my office a call. But get on board, listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.